This is Spotlight Omaha. Spotlight Omaha is a local podcast that highlights local businesses and influential movers and shakers in the Omaha business community. Spotlight Omaha is brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Now, from the Pyramid Contractor Studios, the host of Spotlight Omaha, Jimmy Allen.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome inside the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making an impact on our community. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Pixel Fire Marketing is a locally owned marketing firm who specializes in website design, search engine optimization, and will put you at the top of Google searches. If it gets you in front of your ideal client, if you can benefit from any of that, check out pixelfiremarketing.com today. Joining us inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio today is Jacob Michalski from Rocky Stone and Design. Thanks for being here, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, so, obviously, when we talk about stone design, there's a lot out there. Can you tell us what Rocky Stone Design is, what you guys are doing?
So basically, we're a landscape wholesale provider. So we pretty much just stock bulk materials from ranging from limestones to flagstones to ground covers, mulch, anything you could see like natural stone wise that would go in your yard. And we pretty much just make it pretty seamless and easy for homeowners or contractors that come in and pick up, bulk items, or we also deliver it to your doorstep.
Why stone? Why was that the way to go?
So I really like natural stone because it's funny because with concrete products, you can kind of pick apart like flaws since it's a man-made like perfect. Where natural stone is more of like a
if it's flawed, it's supposed to look like
that,
right?
It's flawed. It's supposed to look like that. It's a good way to put it. So it's makes life a little easier, I guess. And I also just think it's more authentic and cool, and it's been around for thousands of years. Right. So it's just something that's gonna last a lifetime.
This is one of my favorite conversations to have since we started doing this podcast in this room. It's a lot of people start in a different field, or maybe they start a business somewhere else and they kind of move into what they're doing now, and their passion kind of changed. When we met, you were doing landscaping, and you changed lawn and landscaping. You kind of changed just the landscape portion, the rock design. Why was it the right time for you to get out of the lawn care business and focus on this?
So basically, when we met, I would have just graduated high school around that time. So I was mowing lawns and landscaping with my brother.
Still got a lot of life to live.
And so in that time, I was obviously still doing that. And then, funny enough, I feel like it was taking a big toll on my body already.
Yeah,
it's very tedious, and
you're walking for 10 hours a day sometimes.
Yeah, and lifting up a lot of heavy things all day, and probably not doing it the correct way. But I was just kind of thinking, what's a long-term thing for me to do? And I just felt like it was kind of switching paths but staying in the same realm of supplying product.
Is that because when we talk about the beauty of rocks and what we just kind of talked about, the long-term longevity of it, that allows you to be more artistic, and what you needed to be a little more creative?
I think in the landscape world, you have so much reign of creativity. Like, you make your own. You take a basic blank slate and turn it into something crazy. And being able to do what I do, I feel like being the supplier, I get to see so much at once, just working with so many different, landscapers and hardscapers. Like, I get to just pick material that I believe will turn and sell and move quickly. And I just get to see all different aspects of people's own creativity, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's taking from what
You're supplying the paint to the artist almost, right?
Yeah. So it was just that once it was me trying to create my own vision for these customers, but now I get to help hundreds of local customers.
What does that conversation sound like? If somebody's coming to you for the first time, whether it be somebody that's a homeowner, somebody that is a contractor, how often are they coming to you and asking for your input?
Homeowner wise, you get a lot of people coming in because the DIYers just want to know what route they should take.
YouTube saving everybody.
And it's been super cool though, just being able to work with homeowners, and they come in and they're like, we want to do this, and we're like, okay, well, we think you should use XYZ, and here's the process of how you get it done. So that's fun. But with contractor wise, normally they come in with their vision already. And normally they already have like what they want, but we do get asked, and we get to help like tier different ways, or what would be the best product for using for this aspect, or if you're doing something else.
Talk about the elements because obviously, whether you're doing lawn or landscaping, you got to work outside regardless.
Yeah.
You talk about turning stuff around quickly and selling it fast. Is it fair to say that in the colder months you guys get slower, or are you guys not seeing
Uh, I feel like Nebraska is not really getting winters anymore.
that? Yeah, not,
So
not like when we were kids anymore. Yeah, for sure.
no. So it's been a little different for me, I guess, because I bought this company back in. It was a pre-existing one, but
Okay.
I bought it in 2022,
Okay.
and I feel like really ever since 2022, we really haven't had many winters.
Not a whole lot of snow. No.
So every winter when it comes around, yes, we slow down,
Mhm.
but we still have. I mean, we just made sales today
Sure.
to contractors, and
That's the coolest day of the year so far.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's very hit or miss because when the grounds, it always depends on what they're doing,
Mhm.
but like especially in like these newer lake neighborhoods
Yeah.
that are built on sand.
And if you don't have to dig either.
Yeah, and the sand doesn't really freeze,
Sure.
so they can just keep going all year there. But
Is it surprising to you? I mean, when you're 2 years into this, is it surprising that you slow down the winter, but it's not a complete stop? Was that something you thought when you took the business over?
yeah, I expected that we were gonna slow down a lot more,
Mhm.
but yeah, just with the no snow kind of helps a lot.
Sure.
But
Um, when you talk about starting your own thing but buying it from somebody else, why was it the right idea for you to buy a company that was pre-existing and then put your hands on it versus something from the ground up? Why was it the right time to do
well, the person I bought it from was a family friend,
that? Oh, okay.
and
So there's trust there.
yeah, and we were. I mean, there's not a whole lot of like landscape supply companies in Omaha.
Agreed. Yeah.
I mean, there's landscapers that also will sell materials,
Mhm.
and then there's mainly like natural stone wise. I would say it's me and then two others,
Sure.
if I'm thinking correctly, in Omaha. Um,
Right.
and so I just felt like throwing another, I don't know, company in the
Option. Yeah.
mix
Yeah.
might,
Yeah.
but it seemed easier just to purchase one who had existing
Mhm.
companies, existing vendors, existing vehicles, building
Sure.
XYZ. So it's just a lot easier just seamlessly to move into it.
We're gonna get to the building in a minute. We're gonna talk about your 2024 in a second, but I want to keep on that path, because we've had so many conversations with people in this room that are buying a franchise or buying a pre-existing business. And they're like, oh, it was just so much easier because I had somebody that I could bounce ideas off of, and we talk about purchasing the company from someone that's been doing it already that you already personally know. Is that kind of part of the part of the process as well as like, hey, if we run into an issue, do you mind sharing the person's name that you bought it from?
Yeah,
What's his name?
Scott Carson.
So you reach out to Scott, and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
Scott, this is what we're running into. Do you have any ideas?" Is that part of the part of the positives to buying it from him as well?
Yeah, I mean, he was a good family friend, still is,
Mhm.
and it was just easy because we actually was running a different company
Mhm.
out of the building as well. So
Sure. At the same time.
yeah,
Okay.
because the reason he wanted to sell the stone yard division was so he could focus on his fabrication side of things.
Gotcha.
So he has a CNC saw that's like double the size of this room. It's huge. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
Super cool, and he creates amazing things with it. But it was just very seamless to be able to know he was just right there.
Well, there's always hurdles when you're buying a new business, though, right?
Yeah.
What were some of the things that you kind of ran into early that you guys are common practice now that you know how to kind of get around?
Well, I mean, being young, new business,
Sure.
the credit aspect was a little harder.
Yeah.
Trying to, because
So
obviously,
not even anything that has to do with the actual business itself. It's the
no.
actual. Okay.
I mean, bringing stuff in
Yeah.
was hard because, well, I guess it wasn't hard. You just had to pay for it up front,
Right.
which is very hard on a cash flow standpoint, which can,
Because you got to sell it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's because you're taking a risk on it. I mean, there's the staple items that will move.
Yeah.
Like, I guess at the time I knew.
Right.
So you bring those stuff in, but you're paying for it up front,
Mhm.
which is like kind of obviously burdening because
Sure.
even if you do bring it in, because you want to stock up most in the winter, so then you have it ready for the
When
spring.
spring hits, yeah.
Because in the slower temps, with the colder temps, everything's a little slower for everyone, like in
Yeah.
all aspects, because we don't really bring anything in from Omaha.
And if it's cold outside, people aren't working, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, all these quarries are harvesting stone,
Mhm.
and we pick it from Oklahoma to Minnesota to California, like all range. So
Sure.
all temperatures are different. So it's better to plan ahead and stock up as much as possible in the winter because something in the spring when it's warm might take you a week to get it, but
Right.
in the winter it could take you 8 weeks.
Sure.
So
When we talk about taking something from California or Georgia or anywhere in between, and you're bringing it from a warmer element to the colder elements, does it make it difficult to store and kind of maintain, or is it, hey, stone stays the same?
I mean, there's some some products that are there's like a freestyle ratio with
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska because something gets cold, hot, moisture gets in, it can
Sure.
pop and break and crack. So there are some things that we choose not to bring in
Mm.
for that one reason, but everything we do bring in, we make sure there's testing done, all that stuff to make sure it's going to be worth staying here in the elements.
Right. Gotcha. Because you can't sell it if it's broken or
Yeah.
cracked or popped, right? Yeah. We're catching up with Jacob Michalski here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. He's the owner of Rocky Stone and Design. I want to talk about your 2024.
Yes.
It was a crazy year in the city of Omaha for a lot of people. I don't want to say you the most, but maybe more than most. Tornado runs this city, and a lot of people saw dollar signs. Unfortunately, you guys saw your building be destroyed and were affected by the storm. You, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You seem remotely positive about it on social media. How are you able to look at that devastation and say, "Hey, we're going to be fine and come out of this"?
I mean, it was funny because that day we all kind of knew the storms were coming.
Sure.
So two of my people went home early,
Mhm.
and then my mom actually called me. I was like, "Hey, can you pick up your brothers from school?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I went and go pick them up. I left like 10, 20 minutes before, and then one of my guys that was still there, he called me and he was like freaking out on the phone. He's
Sure.
he's a storm chaser. He's like nuts
Oh,
for him.
he was buckling down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was ready for it.
Yeah.
And he called me. He's like, I can see it coming from over the hill.
Wow.
And like, so our building is kind of down below. There's a hill, and it was coming up over and went straight through the building.
That's a lot of debris too, because all the rock, right?
Funny enough, no rocks moved, even mulch.
You're kidding. Wow.
The mulch pile that's just loose wood chips.
Didn't even move?
Nope.
But the whole building was gone.
The whole building just
incredible.
Gone. Yeah, it was weird. But it was mainly the sucky thing is all of our rocks come in like they're palletized and they're normally wrapped with like chicken wire and all that stuff.
Right.
So it was really just nitpicky because every pallet was covered in like insulation, and so you have to like
debris.
Pull it all out. It's super. That was probably the most tedious part.
Sure.
But circle back to that. I feel like in the moment I just knew that when I first saw the building, like I was trying to get there. No one was letting me through because all the power lines were down. Like you couldn't get to my property really.
Right.
So I had to park a couple miles away and like run.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So I get all the way there, and it's just
I don't want to take you like PTSD or anything. Take you back to that moment. I mean, are you expecting the worst at this point, or were you pretty had the idea that our stuff might still be okay?
I got one of my guys who was there.
Yeah.
He actually hopped in his truck and took off running while driving. Yeah. Then he came back and he sent me a picture.
Okay.
And I pretty much the picture was my machine in the building with the whole building on top of it.
Yeah.
So I was expecting to see no building.
Yeah.
At least.
Right.
But so I didn't really know what to expect because the machines are, they're built for it, like built for a building to collapse on it, but they're strong, all steel.
Sure. Okay.
I wasn't expecting.
They're designed to crush rock, essentially, right? Yeah. Okay.
So I get there, and in that moment, it was just overwhelming emotion.
Sure.
Because everything that you've worked so hard for is just
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
was everything okay? I mean, was it? Yeah. Wow. Okay.
It was honestly just cosmetic.
Sure.
We had 2 trucks in the building and 2 front end loaders in the building, and it was pretty much just all glass and like windows shattered with some obviously paint issues and all that stuff. But yeah, it was really all cosmetic because we were able to dig out the loaders best as possible, get those out of the building, which sucked because for like the next like month we had no windshields or anything like that, and it's a nice machine. It's a cat and like radio, air conditioning, screens.
But
it was just getting
rained
in.
Yeah.
But it was just getting rained in nonstop, so everything was just soaking wet all the time. And but
makes work a little difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you able to spin it? I mean, nobody ever wants to celebrate disaster, but were you able to spin in? Did you guys see an uptick in business because of the storms we saw come through?
I would say yes. I mean, there was obviously a decline in sales the following month because there was a lot of cleanup stuff, and also every landscaper in Omaha I felt like was helping everyone who was in need. Like right next to us is Ramblewood, who was hit really bad, and I couldn't tell you how many landscapers I saw in there with their trucks, trailers, excavators, machines, just loading up debris and hauling it out, like just doing amazing work.
What was the response like from the community for you guys? Obviously, the building had been there for a while, but you guys have only been in business for a handful of years at that point.
Yeah.
As you as the owner, what was the response from the community like?
I mean, that next day, so it happened on Friday.
Mhm.
That Saturday morning, we had over 100 people show up to help us clean up
Wow.
everything. It was super cool. And it's kind of funny. I tell people this, like, it was the worst part was me having to almost not help but
Sure.
direct.
Right.
I felt like a manager and I
Because
hated
people
that.
didn't know where they were going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the whole time was just me running all over the place, telling like you need to focus here, like
Sure.
just thanking everyone, making
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just kind of weird.
That's
like
incredible
that
though. Over
aspect.
100 people showed up. That's amazing.
We had
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
we had like we had I think 8 skid loaders there helping scoop up debris, load
Wow.
up. We had
Sure.
probably 10 trucks and trailers, a couple dump trucks, a semi loading off debris just nonstop. I mean, from tree debris, building debris, uh, rock debris. It was just it was crazy.
When we talk about day-to-day operations, when did things get back to a relatively normal
hmm
day for you guys?
We had probably we had the whole building un like
Removed essentially? Yeah.
removed into one big pile off to the side within that day. The whole entire tree line was cleaned up. It was right next to a creek, so there was a bunch of trees
Right.
knocked down, and then all the pallets were all clean because we probably had 50 people going through and cleaning up all the debris, raking,
Sure.
sweeping, shoveling, the whole 9 yards. But between that Friday of the tornado and next Friday, we had everything back to where we could run business.
This may be a really stupid question. Do you guys need a building for operation?
No.
Okay, because I was gonna say when I'm thinking like a rock yard, and somebody's out there with a cardboard table,
Yeah.
that computer, you could probably do it, right?
Yeah.
Is that essentially what happened?
We had my sister's dad's friend, who owns I can't think of it now. Atlas Steel Erection.
Okay. Yeah.
He
Shout
also
out to Atlas
does
Steel.
yes.
Yeah.
He also does he has on the side he does some like mobile offices.
Oh,
So
perfect.
he
Yeah.
actually dropped one off like within a week.
I
It was
gotcha.
perfect, and we
It's like a
used it.
trailer essentially.
Mhm.
I
It was
gotcha.
like a shipping container.
Okay.
There was 10 foot in the back that was storage, and then 30 foot in the front that was offices.
Okay.
So that worked flawlessly.
Nice.
I mean,
Helps to know a guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I learned that a lot, and it's not what you know, but all the people that I have made acquaintances with.
I think when anybody would hear that storm, devastation, building gone, we got to go get a rental office, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, would say probably a net loss for the year. But it was we mentioned that the storms that affected the city saw a real uptick in business for a lot of people. Was it still a pretty successful year in 2024?
Yeah. I mean,
Is that surprising to you?
You know, I don't know, honestly. I've never really expected to have that big of a loss.
There's no pun intended. Your nose is just the grindstone. You're just doing your day-to-day business, right?
Yeah. It's just the one annoying part. I feel like the most annoying part is still kind of dealing with the insurance aspect.
Sure.
I always find it funny because
You mean they just didn't write you a big check day
No.
one? Weird. Weird how that works.
They always it's always funny to me. It's like because I was kind of the same way until it happens. It's
Yeah.
like people are always saying like, "Oh, you have insurance, right?" Like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're fine." Like, but I mean, to run a
What
business,
are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
to run a business and have to like do all this stuff and pay all of these people and I don't know, stocking inventory.
Because their bills are still due. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just because I mean, everything in my building was gone, so we had to buy all new computers, new desks, new this, new. I don't know. We lost every single hand tool, like
Sure.
just little things you don't really think about till it's
Right.
gone, and
That you need.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was just having to cough up all that money up front,
Mm-hmm.
and then here we are,
Almost
like
a year
10
later.
months.
Yeah.
10 months later, and still nothing.
Wow.
It's kind of just annoying.
Sure. Yeah. And we're catching up with Jacob Michalski of with Rocky Stone and Design. I keep wanting to say Design and Stone and Design. Here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. I want to talk about the positive side. You guys just opened up a new inside location of building on 192nd and Q.
Yeah.
Why was that the right spot to open this up at?
So kind of dealing with the rebuild process.
Sure.
Pretty much like we spoke about earlier, like as a stone yard, you don't necessarily need a super like a building, honestly, and also a super nice building by any means. So in my location, I wasn't really zoned correctly, but it was grandfathered in. So once the building was taken away, it more than 50%, that kind of just is all up in the wind. So dealing with that aspect was I could rebuild there, but it was I would have to build
all new problems come with it.
Yeah, it was just more of like you have to build a higher end building,
Sure.
which it would be great for, it's zoned for a strip mall, a gas station,
Sure.
that kind of convenience store like that, where you need a higher end building, not need, but you like
To be
to have an higher
idealized.
end
Yeah.
building, like perfect for them. But for a stone yard, I'm not going to spend, $1 million to rebuild a building
Sure.
that I don't need that
Need.
for.
Right.
Like, so it just conveniently ran. My buddy lives nearby where I bought. It was Janos Nursery, their old retail spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, he lives nearby, and I was on a bachelor trip. And he sent me a picture. He's like, "This is for sale." I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" So I called the owner,
Sure.
and next thing you know, a couple of months later, bought it.
W- is that quicker than, like, because this is obviously the first time as a business owner you're going through that process? Was it quicker than you thought? What was that process like from a business standpoint
To buy a
to
new
buy the new one?
property.
Yeah.
Uh, well, I have a really great relationship with my bank, Arbor
Sure.
Bank. That's a shout
Which
out
one?
there.
Sorry.
Arbor Bank.
Shout out to Arbor Bank. All right.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're. It's like my favorite bank in the world because
Okay.
they took a
It's just like insurance. Not all banks are the same. There's
yeah.
some difficulties, so I want to make sure we give them a plug.
Yeah, with Arbor Bank, it was like the classic of "you're not a number." So cliche, but you're not a number there.
Sure.
That's like every time I walk in, I feel like everyone knows my name.
Right.
Everyone wants to know how I'm doing, what's
Because they're
up,
a
what's
small
new.
enough bank that it's a small community feel for sure.
Yes, and they took a risk on me to get me the first property and the business purchase, so they will forever have my business at this point.
Nice.
And they were able to work out this deal.
You mean customer service matters?
Yeah,
What
apparently.
a concept. Yeah.
So yeah, they were able to get me this loan for the property, and I feel like it took a month, and I just feel like it's crazy, especially for a younger guy like me.
We spent a lot of time talking about the back end. I want to make sure we get your product in front of the right people. What does an ideal client for you look like? What should people expect when they're working with Rocky Stone and Design?
Ideal client wise, I mean, I feel like we don't really have an idea. Like we just want, I mean, because we're kind of both ranges of we work directly with the contractor, so wholesale, bigger ticket items. If you want, because
give us a couple of those items that people may expect when they come talk to you.
Okay. I mean, for like product wise or like
either or. Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever you guys need, whatever's in the yard that we need to move today. What is it?
Okay. I mean, I feel like we sell the crap out of our limestone.
Okay.
I don't know if you like the big limestone wall blocks. You see like these limestone walls in people's backyards, front yards.
Sure.
People use them for address rocks. Like our ranges range from 6 inches all the way up to 18 inches, and they're cut top and bottom, or you have natural. And I couldn't keep enough in stock for how popular it is.
Sure.
Which
why do you think that is? Just the way it looks?
Just the way it looks, I think.
Okay.
But and then on top of it, we kind of brought into with the sawn top and bottom, and it's just easier. It's cleaner. It makes it look more modern fit. Where you don't like when you're building a limestone wall, if it's natural, you got to the base is what matters the most. But then working your way up, you really have to make sure the faces are all facing out nice. You're gonna put wedges and like
edge,
level. It's really hard, but with I don't know, with the sawn, it's just like stacking Legos.
Sure.
You get the base rock in, and then you put your first layer on. It's just you can go forever. It's just a breeze.
If somebody's coming out and talking to you about stone and design and things, do you have people out there that can install it, or do you usually outsource that type of thing and recommend somebody?
So we don't do any installs.
Okay.
We're basically like your Costco.
Yep, that's what I was thinking. I was just making sure.
Yeah, so we have homeowners come in all the time asking that question, and normally we just like to ask the homeowner like what you're trying to get done, what's your kind of budget, like range, like how quick, and then we can kind of based off of all of our contractors that we work with a lot and
get in front of the ideal person.
Yeah,
sure.
It's better, ask as many questions as possible so you can direct it to who you feel best fit for it.
What does growth look like for you over the next 2 to 3 years? Is it as simple as we want to sell more, we want to provide more? Is it we want to add some materials, we want to open a different location, we want to maybe move outside of Omaha? What does that kind of look like?
Well, at my old location, we were on 2.2 acres.
Yeah.
And it's kind of perfect, honestly, because with the building taken out, it was like the only thing that was really holding me that location was the building. Now the building's gone, and how we already kind of like maxed out that land, it was like the perfect opportunity to move.
Did you sell that land, or are you still on it?
It's still on the market.
Okay.
So everyone needs property.
Check out Jake's Facebook page. He'll get you a good spot.
So, I mean, we maxed it out. Like I'm all about growth. Like I want to just keep going and bringing new products and making new additions and stuff. But so our new property is 8.8 acres with the building. So I mean, we're 4 times the size already. Yeah. So it's like now I just want to focus on filling that and making sure we have a wide range of products, new, unique products, and just
there anything you don't offer now that you want to make sure you do in the near future?
We have a lot of new products already coming in for this season,
Like,
which I'm excited for. But on our ground cover wise, like we used to sell 20,
Mhm.
and now we have 40 bins.
Okay.
So I mean that just right there is double the growth. So we're
Sure.
gonna there's this new material that we're bringing in. It's called decomposed granite.
Okay.
It's used for like pathway finds. It's really cool.
Like ground stones to walk on, essentially.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's just a really fine granite that's almost like a close to a powder,
Sure.
but it's just really pretty and sparkles and stuff, and it's supposed to be used for pathways. So we're excited to see.
I'm a homeowner. I'm coming out in the spring. I just bought a new place out in Gretna. I'm looking for something to make my new yard look beautiful. What's the first sales pitch to me?
I guess it would depend on what your budget is to start.
Sure.
But I mean, I feel like that's hard to say for me because
I've got $1 billion.
well,
What's the top of the line? What's the best?
best of the best. I mean, you gotta do Mexican beach pebble
Because
you gotta. I guess it kind of what makes if you want to be flashy or not.
Mhm.
It's a very high end product.
Sure.
It's shipped straight from California. You have to pick it up. It's shipped from Mexico over the border to California, and then we ship it from there. And if you put it around anything like a water feature of some sort, once it gets wet, it's just like
Shimmers.
It just looks so good.
Sure.
So like I think something to really make your yard pop would be because we also do custom work where we can make bubblers.
Oh, okay.
So you come in, pick any boulder you want. We'll core drill it, make it into a fire rock, just whatever. Like sky's the limit here. And then you would just place your bubbler in place and add Mexican beach pole around it, and it's just a nice water feature in your yard. That's I feel like very affordable, and then also really makes your yard pop.
We're hitting the time of day where we kind of shut her down. Is there anything we haven't asked you about Rocky Stone Design that people should know? We've hit a lot.
Yeah. I just that our new location is off 192nd and Q, and we're looking forward to really growing in that area.
How can people get a hold of you?
Well, you can do my social media or Rocky Stone Designs on Facebook, Instagram, and then we also have a website which is rockystonedesign.com, and we're right off of 192nd Street, and you can't miss us because we have a big Rocky Stone Design sign.
Stop by 192nd Q, see the new Rock Yard, correct? That's the correct terminology. Check out all of Jake's products online again, Rocky Stone and Design. Thank you very much for doing this, man. I'm glad we were able to knock it out. Thank you for being early, even though I thought you were late. I appreciate that. This has been the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. We got a 2 for you tomorrow. We're going to do 2 interviews tomorrow. Hopefully you can join us at 11 and 1 respectively. We'll see you tomorrow in the morning. Thanks for joining us.